Welcome back to today's program. Again, apologies for the technical difficulty. On this segment, we'll be talking to a member of the House of Representatives who on Tuesday urged the federal government to set up a strategic 15 billion naira coronavirus emergency fund for Nigerian universities and tertiary institutions to respond to the impact of coronavirus on academic, research and administrative operations. Joining us in today's program to discuss this, we have
Professor Steve Azaiki, OON. He is the Honorable Member representing Yenagoa, Kolokuma-Opokuma Constituency of Bayelsa State. Welcome to the Weekend Show.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us in the studio Dr. Uche Igwe. He is an anti-corruption advocate and a development expert. Welcome to the Weekend Show.
Thank you.
Honorable, let me start with you. So tell me more about this motion that you made on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Actually, the motion was part of a letter I wrote to Mr. President in early March. And that motion, me and 9 of my colleagues representing the 6th geopolitical zone, we urged the federal government to set aside 15 billion naira emergency fund to our universities and to look at poor students, disadvantaged students, how to support them and help them, to look at research into the coronavirus, cure and possible vaccine. The issue is that the world still sees Africa and Nigeria through the prism of that colonial, mentality. And we should not give them the opportunity to see that we are not partakers and that we'll wait when the vaccine or the cure is found, then we'll go and buy. We must be part of that process in finding solution, finding cure to this pandemic. So that bill was to take care of that, and also to provide infrastructure, and also to establish within the 6th geopolitical zone, each state should have a testing center domicile in the universities, and also to establish 6 research institutes within the federal universities in those 6 geopolitical zones. For now, when you talk about testing, you carry out a test in Yenagoa and it's transferred to Abuja or somewhere else. In the process of this transfer, with our facilities, our roads and all that, it can be contaminated. So the best thing to do, to make it easy for our people, to make sure that we can raise the bar and achieve more testing, we should establish domicile these testing centers in each state of the Federation.
Honorable, I read the motion and I think it covers a whole lot.
Yeah.
But just this week, we learned that the Minister of Finance, they revised the budget to about 10 trillion to provide for Nigeria in these corona times. Isn't it contradictory if we are reviewing and revising the budget without adding motions such as this? Because this should be included under the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. Why do we have to set aside separate funds for this? Doesn't this affect the transparency and duplicates the process?
Well, we are in emergency. In fact, like President Trump has said it severally, America is at war with an invisible enemy. Nigeria is at war. It's just that a lot of people take a lot of these things for granted. We are at war with an invisible enemy. And during war, at time of war, you can come up with emergency situation to remedy a particular problem. Right now, this is an emergency fund to be set aside. And to underline what you have said, I'm part of the appropriation, I'm a member of the appropriation committee, and we are going to look at all these issues. But what is important is important. What is urgent is urgent. We must research. We must be part of that effort in making sure that cure or vaccine is found. Even if we don't succeed, like I always said, success is not measured by the end result alone, even the process. And we have to be part of that process. And let me add that this motion was moved last week. This week, by yesterday, the federal government, through TED Fund, had had approved to implement into to completely, fully, the entire motion. So, Third Fund has that fund because Third Fund is the one that supports all the universities in this country. And they have decided to set up research institute in the 6th geopolitical zone. They have decided to set up fund for research and set up testing centers. Excellent. So it means the motion is as important and urgent as the urgency of now.
Most definitely. It's a laudable initiative. There's no debate about that. But I will bring you in here, Dr. Uche. One would think that even before a pandemic hits, these are infrastructure and, you know, legislations I would have put together already to be able to better respond to a pandemic such as this. What is the way going forward? How do we prepare ourselves as a nation for the next pandemic?
Well, I think that the first thing to say is to commend the initiative the Honorable Professor put together. And for me, as an individual, I'm not surprised. As a former Pro-Chancellor and an academic himself, his passion is very clear in the motion he raised. But I think that in responding to what you said, there is a need for what I call scientific temper. In preparing for the next pandemic, it is important that through the kind of things he's talking about, we make sure that we inculcate scientific temper, critical thinking skills in our students through some of these research centers and then, you know, beyond the testing. So I think that looking forward, it is important that that infrastructure is established to make sure that even revising the curriculum, you know, I'm sure you hear about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You know, some of these things are all connected, you know, to preparing our young people for the future, so that at the end of the day, there is a marriage between biology and economics. If you look at what is happening in Madagascar, you can see that 20 countries already are speaking to Madagascar. And if you recall the things we read in the media, that they're asking for $180,000, you know, for the shipment to Nigeria. I imagine that from the 20 countries here, they're going to raise probably about $14 million. So at the end of the day, in preparing for the next pandemic, we should not be spectators. We should be actors. And I think that what Prof is talking about is his motion will go a long way to inculcating that scientific temper that we need in our young people, so that they will begin to search for solutions. And maybe, you know, what has happened in Madagascar will probably start happening here. Who knows?